Wife caught cheating with simp she met streaming on Twitch. Buckle up. This gets interesting. COVID-19 hits March of this year. My wife eventually in May-June complains of being bored, yet I bought her this 2300 gaming PC she never uses. I advised her to hop back into gaming during this down period. She starts streaming and building friendships and a small community on Twitch and Discord. I am confident that this is helping because it's such a low point in many people's lives to have any interactions. Late July, early August comes around, and due to our jobs can't specify, we are on complete lockdown to the couple-mile radius, only able to go to essential stops, gas, groceries, etc. She decides to take a staycation with 2 girlfriends to a local hotel to have a girls' night. The first night goes past with a few texts. No problem, she needed to enjoy herself. I text her the next afternoon and she then tells me they're actually staying another night. She comes back to the house on that Sunday morning and sits next to me while I just woke up from the night prior, and says we need to talk. She says that she needs to focus on her career. It's incredibly busy, and she needs space. I respect this because she has been getting several opportunities to progress and I want to see her succeed. I let her be more alone, but when I do see her I make sure I am affectionate to enforce I support her after a long day of work. She eventually says we need to talk again. This time she says I cringe when you're affectionate to me, and says I don't get it, and eventually says when we move back home we live overseas. She wants to live separately and have me help pay for her apartment by herself. I explain that's not what I want. I could move where her job takes her most likely. It would be unfair to me because I would likely live somewhere without her or our dogs. She states I am selfish for wanting to live with her and the dogs and not leave her alone. I start to become depressed because I have a wife that will not touch me, tell me she loves me, or acknowledges me. I am crying in the shower regularly and eventually feel pathetic looking at adult videos because I have a wife that won't be there for me. I also notice her ex toys constantly being used, which I am not mad about, but I hadn't been laid in 2 months and we don't even shower together anymore. I start to notice she is always on her computer streaming, which is expected, because she is trying to build an audience on Twitch. I work in the social media realm and understand the work it takes to build a community. She started to become agitated if I come in while she is streaming or if I talk. I eventually never go into the computer room out of fear of being yelled at. September, I start to talk to my co-worker about this and he says I should check her computer. I am the last person to want to touch a computer or phone. I am not the jealous type, but he finally opens my eyes to this idea. I go home one day and try to log on to the computer. The password is changed, yet we already had this password set 2.5 years ago at this point. We go to dinner that night and on the way, I am clenching my fist against on the steering wheel and gritting my teeth. With this knowledge, I am battling in my head the idea that she is my wife and I should trust her, and also that if she is my wife I should be able to talk about anything. I drop the bomb. She scoffs at my inquiry and says of course not, and she'd change the password to match her work computer. I feel a little more at ease because of how direct this was. Eventually, a week later she has a baby shower with a mutual friend which I am invited. I go, but I had an infection so I was incredibly weak, on antibiotics, and just not feeling well. She is lovey-dovey and rubbing my shoulders and giving me kisses. She finally leaves her phone unguarded, which I noted to never to be visible when I am around. I try to log in and the password is incorrect. I play into my illness and go home with this new information, upset because now I am onto something. I remember one of the guys she plays with all the time and tried to add him on Instagram. She gets outraged by this, questioning me. I also had a work trip coming up for a week at the end of October. She insists on knowing every detail, which seemed weird how much she was wanting to know that I would be gone when I'm her husband. I go on the work trip and try to avoid text to give her this space. I return and she picks me up and I get no affection. I miss you, I love you, or anything. It's just agitation. I took her out to dinner that night even though I was tired, and took her to hit balls at the driving range, one of her favorite activities. She tries to film herself hitting the ball, which it wasn't filming, and as I tried to assist her but insist I don't touch her phone. I go to bed that night after my week-long work trip and still no ex. Mind you, I am not asking for it all the time, but would like it at least 1-3 times a month. I am frustrated in every fashion of the word. A week later and it's the end of October and I get an early day off of work. I go home and hear the sound of her speakers being plugged and unplugged from the computer, which makes me inquire. I click on the mouse and the computer is unlocked. I knew this is my time to see what is going on. I go to the email and see nothing but she bought Phasmobia for Jay and Ed. She also had a confirmation email for downloading WhatsApp to her Apple Watch. She had never had a reason to use this app before. I eventually go to Discord, which I am not the best at navigating. I noted in one chat this guy Jay sends a, and she responds with a heart eyes emoji. I click on their messages and I see all of the messages. I start to record with my phone instantly as proof to present. I capture all the data I can and even saw on my birthday she was writing to him about missing him, etc. I send a text to her saying, I know about Jay. She calls me instantly and is panicked and says she is coming home. We sit on the couch and talk and she just tells me it's because she wanted to have entertainment. I notice she doesn't even cry. And she doesn't even say sorry. I had to tell her that she never said sorry, which she then makes excuses. She claims she wants to be my wife but can't right now. She sees us together in the future maybe, but not now. I tell her I need time to think about this. I want counseling, but she doesn't and says she needs to work on herself. I eventually get her to say yes. I told her that she needs to change the passwords and tell him it's over. I understand if they need to talk. She agrees and we continue. That night she is only talking about how she won't financially be able to survive without me. I reassure her that she can make it like any other person. I then the next day check the computer. She changes the password back but has logged out of every single account and Discord where I found the messages. Technically she did do everything I asked, so I'm not mad. I asked her what he said about it being over and she tells me that Jay hadn't said a word back and he isn't like that to write back. I then a week later notice she left her phone upstairs. I try to log in. And it's not changed. I address this and she becomes irate at me for checking. I ask her to let me see the phone and she does a couple of fast strokes, so I know she deleted something quickly. I check Instagram messages and nothing. I instantly go to the phone call log and see she has still continued to talk to him on a regular basis even after the day I found out. At this point, I am not even mad because I am so torn down. A mutual friend of ours goes on a girl's day and eventually tells me she was still talking to him the entire day as well several days later. I call off going to counseling at this point because I realize she isn't serious about making this work. Weeks start to go by and we coexist. She has bought an air mattress and sleeps in the computer room. We only go for dinner and that's our only line of communication. She took money out of a saving account for our future which we never touch. I ask why she took out money when I financially can help and have paid for every bill since we have been together. She yells at me saying it isn't my business, but I also have known she lies about money and I have bailed her out of drowning credit card debt previously. I felt it was betraying my trust again to not make a couple's decision and work together with money. She eventually gets mad and kicks me out of the house because she realized I stopped automatic payments to this joint account. Luckily I have another place lined up and I am here now since Thanksgiving. I spend weeks trying to get out of a slump. I scheduled therapy for myself to help let my work know why I am not in the best mood or performing to my best. She then starts to ask me to come over for dinner randomly. I feel alone and do miss my dog, so I go over because I still miss my old life. To be honest, even though it never feels the same, she gets mad at me if I don't always say yes. And for Christmas, she bought me a PS5, which I obviously was very excited about. Now she can only talk about my need to stop focusing on the past and work on the future with us. I am still pending another therapy appointment, but this time has been invaluable for myself to reflect. My only regret right now is I have let this linger and didn't call it quits immediately when I found out. I have always been a fixer and someone that doesn't quit and can be relied upon, which I feel is being taken advantage of. She now wants this to work, but I am afraid my feelings and trust are already too far gone. I am having a hard time telling her I want this to end because I still love this woman. But I can't be with her, and this is the hardest thing to understand for her and myself, I am sure. I think I am looking for approval or justification to end it when I already have it. I just don't want to regret anything either since we have been married for almost 8 years. I am 30. I love being in a relationship. And because of this, I will have to give away my dogs. Also, she is a very angry person and I think will take anything she can from me even with these circumstances. The best part about this is that this guy is a downgrade so bad that she hasn't shown me or her friends what this guy looks like. I have a good support system, but I may be some words of advice to make pulling this band-aid off quicker. Stand up and walk away. Or, lie down and get walked on. She wants the wallet, not the blood bag that carries it. When are your self-preservation instincts going to kick in? Why did you let her kick you out? She is an angry puppet master. Based on the living situation, me leaving was actually for the better and the only way based on my job. If I disclosed further details it would give away too much PII. She doesn't know where I am living, which makes me feel safe and actually a tad free. Thanks for responding. You are a nice guy. She's using you as much as she can before you have enough. It's time to have enough. You seriously really need to have no further contact with this horrible person other than through your lawyer. Leave her to the life she wants and stop helping her. Cut all ties and divorce her. She will never change unless it's to get worse. If you are afraid she will become violent when you tell her, you say she's an angry person, then have someone there with you. If you don't have anyone, ask her to meet you at your attorney's office or ask the police for a civil standby as a last resort. You never know what lies a liar will cook up. Stay strong. This too shall pass. Second story. My 30 male GF 28 female of almost 10 years has been cheating with a 50 male former co-worker for months. Update: I want to thank everyone for the support and kind words as well as the guidance. Most of you, even those younger, have more relationship experience than I do. Looking back, I've been enabling her and haven't seen it for so long. Many of you said this is just as much her fault as it is his, if not more. You are right. Mental illness, anxiety, depression are all valid but don't make her actions okay. The coworker that contacted me said the wife and family know and are obviously very hurt. I am going to go for an STD test as well as seek therapy. Our lease was up after February, but the landlord had someone interested and said she would pay me back for the last month if I can leave, so I will be finding a new place ASAP. All password changed. Joint accounts taken care of. Credit was already frozen. I think I have everything covered as far as that goes. Last I knew the not getting married question would come up. We have actually been engaged since 2016. Her father's cancer came back early 2017 and he died March 2018. She hasn't been in any headspace since to get married. We were planning again for 2020 but we moved and then COVID hit. I had my reservations about getting married before she fixed her mental health and anxiety issues, as well as her letting her physical fitness completely go downhill as well. I know now it wasn't ever going to get fixed with us together and me there for her. This is all a valuable experience and is for the best, as most of you have said. Thank you. Original post. September of this year would have made 10 years with GF. We have been together since college. We are the only people we have each been with for more than a few months. The only people we had each slept with. We have grown into adults together. Experienced all life has to offer, both good and bad. Last March, right before Corona hit, we sold our house and moved from a small town in a rural state to the suburbs of a much more populated state outside a major city for a promotion I got. She was hesitant to go, but we wanted to have new life experiences and see what living in a more populated area had to offer, so we went for it. When COVID hit, she couldn't find a job for months. She finally did, but was not happy with it. Her mental health declined. As I was working 6 and 7 days a week as a manager for an essential business during the pandemic. At the start of November, she said she had a mental breakdown at work and couldn't go back for a while. She then left for 8 nights unannounced and did not communicate much at all. Said she was staying with her one good work friend, but there were other people with them doing drugs. They were working on getting another friend into rehab. I was shocked and worried because this was not like her at all. She comes back for a week, tries going back to work and can't even make it a full day. Quits. At this point she's apologizing, saying she needs to focus on her mental health. She has to get through this on her own. Needs some time and space. Ends up getting her own place without telling me. Moves out most of her stuff. The whole time I am trying to support her, be there for her, give her space, whatever she needs. She keeps apologizing. I knew something was going on. A month later, one of her former coworkers FB messages me a picture of her and this guy taking a selfie. Says she's sorry but I needed to know. Says they have been seeing each other since September. The guy is married with kids and his wife had cancer not long ago. Says he's also a recovering addict who relapsed at the start of the year. She finally calls and confesses the next day after I messaged her about it. Says they're in love. Her, a 28 female, is in love with a 50 male recovering, maybe married drug addict. He treats her right and takes care of her in ways I don't. He is almost certainly manipulating her. I think this all stems from the passing of her father in 2018 from his own cancer battle. She has never grieved and processed any of that trauma. She also has childhood trauma from her mother being a drug addict. Daddy issues. Lots of trauma. Depression means she is an easy target for abuse and manipulation. We're obviously done for good, but I wanted to share my story because I feel that it is an unusual one and I am feeling alone in a place without friends or family to talk to right now. Update. Well, I just want to start by thanking everyone again for the replies and advice on my original post. I also want to let everyone know that you were pretty much all correct in the assumptions and how this would play out. After finding out the day after Christmas, I spent the next week going back and forth with my ex about different things. Splitting phone plans, bank accounts, her taking the rest of her stuff, etc. I've wanted this to end, so I finally agreed to drive to their place so her and I could make a few calls to square some things away and I could give her the rest of her stuff and take care of this mess once and for all. I get there and she comes to my car and stands there to make the first call we need to make. Goes through the phone menus to talk to someone and hangs up. I said, "What are you doing?" She says sorry and calls again. Same thing. Goes through phone menus. Gets on hold this time and hangs up. I am getting pissed at this point obviously, but she throws a folded up piece of paper quickly into my car before hanging up the second time and says, "Don't touch it. Read it later." Okay. I say, "Yeah, but what about your stuff and the calls we need to make and everything?" She says, "Don't worry about it," and goes back inside. So I drive away and read the note immediately, and it's basically a few sentences saying her mother will be calling me but do not text or call her for any reason, and it is very important that I do not contact her. So her mother calls me shortly after. Says my ex that morning called her and said she realized she's ducked up. The guy is up and down on drugs and controlling her every move, tracking her phone and doesn't want her to leave the house, trying to take her money and get as much as he can from her. Ex wouldn't say anything about physical abuse, but I am sure there has been some. Her mother says she is going to get the police involved to get her out of there. My ex told her mother to ask if we could have a talk about everything. That she knows she's made a huge mistake and she will go to therapy and do anything it takes for us to get back together. She has been trying to get away from the guy just to make this call for help to her mother for a while now. On Monday was the first chance she got, she said. So like the idiot I am, I agreed to meet her tonight in a parking lot at her friend's apartment complex. She told AP she was going there to be with her friend and he actually let her go. She was paranoid he would show up. He did not show up and we talked for an hour about how sorry she is. How she finally came out of the fog and realized how she's ruined her life and she's scared and stuck with this guy. Doesn't know what to do and has gone to the doctors and is getting therapy. Wants me to work on things with her while she goes to therapy so maybe we can get back the great life she now says she realizes we had. Scared to be alone while trying to fix herself without support. I stood firm on my boundaries with her. That this is all her fault. That she caused this. She's hurt me and I owe her nothing. It's still so hard because I want to believe her and we did have a good life for a long time. She seems sincere, of course, that she will get help and change, but I can't give in and trust her. It makes you feel like you're the bad one ending the relationship. I need to continue to respect myself and my boundaries and move on, but I also don't want her to be physically harmed. Too long didn't read. Long-term girlfriend been cheating for months and quickly came out of the fog after I found out and wants to reconcile. AP is controlling and abusive drug addict like everyone knew he would be and she's scared and knows she's really messed up her life. Wants what she had back and I am not giving it to her. Broken people attract other broken people. You were the last normal thing in her life until she spirals out of control and follows her family history. Very sad and traumatic for you, especially since it feels like 10 years wasted. Definitely keep her blocked for good as her addictions may almost assuredly reaching out to you at some point. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.